Welcome, everyone, to Humanity Rising. I'm Tom Eddington. Jim Garrison is away. He's en route to Chartres for the Ubiquity University annual pilgrimage and will join us again on Thursday. This week, we're exploring artificial intelligence and alignment with human interest. AI alignment is a term used to describe how aligned the processing and behavior of an AI is to human interest. High alignment means a positive AI future. Low alignment leads to a dystopian one. When we think about intelligence, particularly human intelligence, it can be defined as the ability to think logically, to conceptualize and abstract from reality. It encompasses the ability to learn and to reason, to generalize, and to infer meaning. In contrast, wisdom can be defined as the ability to grasp human nature, which is paradoxical, contradictory, and subject to continual change. Artificial intelligence is demonstrated by machines as opposed to intelligence displayed by humans or other animals, and certainly fundamentally different from human wisdom. When we think about AI, and particularly in this early generation of AI development, we've seen almost adolescent intelligence or adolescent behavior. The AI that has been developed to date exhibits a lot of the characteristics of what we see in adolescent development and adolescence as they're working their way towards human adulthood. And yesterday in our session, we had someone suggest that maybe instead of artificial intelligence, we talk about augmented intelligence and how do we use this technology to augment human capability and enable the human potential. It's an interesting perspective and one that we'll be continuing to explore this week. As I said yesterday, we focused on wisdom versus intelligence, spirituality, and potential positive applications of AI in areas such as education, the environment, and economics. Each of these code-red issues, when harnessed appropriately, could benefit from the power of AI in helping to solve these complex issues. Today, we're going to focus on some of the critical needs for AI development to make sure that they include ethics, compassion, the arts, and love. These are all have a critical role to play in the evolution of AI. And without them, we run the risk of that dystopian future many in the AI arena are raising concerns about, and the potential extinction of the human species. These moral principles that govern human behavior and concern for suffering and misfortune of others are critical elements and necessary in the development of this technology. So with that, I'm going to invite Georg Bach to join us for some opening comments as we get into today's program. Welcome, Georg.
Hi, thank you, Tom. Thank you for this introduction. Yeah, we're really excited to now, after a few kind of dispersed programs about artificial intelligence or augmented intelligence, now have like an entire week to dive into this topic. And one of the reasons that we chose to do this week on this term alignment was that we didn't want to do a tech conference. We thought that in the space where there's a lot of hype on this technology that supposedly made this leap that surprised many players, that there was only enough conversation on, oh my God, this is going to change everything. This is going to be so amazing. You need to invest now. Because there's this, being from Germany, there's this kind of Silicon Valley narrative that comes with the territory for some reason. And so the reason or the purpose of the term alignment was to really discuss what's the relationship between this proto-intelligence, or some people call it a digital intelligence, some people call it a synthetic intelligence, right? What's the relationship between that and our human organic intelligence? And what really startled me was when I heard an interview of the chief lead scientist, Ilya Sutskever of OpenAI, where he stated, I think it was with Lex Friedman, it's a very important podcast. He talked about this problem of alignment, and to quote him, he said that he said in this interview, I would not underestimate the difficulty of alignment of models that are actually smarter than us, of models that are capable of misrepresenting their intentions. It's something to think about and do a lot of research. Well, it's like the understatement of the year, I would say, to do that. And then he goes on to explain that oftentimes academic researchers ask him what's the best place they can contribute, right? And alignment research is one place where academic research can be very meaningful in its contribution. And I believe, or he believes, that a mathematical definition of alignment is unlikely. And I think that's totally core here, right? In the past, we had computers that had an input and an output. And I think the most fundamental thing we had to be aware of with the rise of AI is that we do not have complicated systems anymore, where you can understand how they work. Like a Boeing 747 is complicated. You can fix it. You can also change it, replace a transistor on a computer. You can fix a bug in a program. But what's going on in these large language models and these artificial neural networks, right, is so complex that there are no simple answers. And every time you ask the AI, it will give you a different answer, because it's based on a certain randomness that's built into the system. And that's part of this proto-aliveness of what's coming out of these things. So that's why he says a mathematical definition of alignment is unlikely. And of course, it makes perfect sense, right? Alignment in this sense that we're discussing here today is, of course, not mathematical. It's an ethical question, right? That's why we call this, what about ethics and compassion, right? There are certain ways to think of alignment from a sociological or biological perspective. Very simply, we could say human beings have a certain, are hardwired, to use this weird technical term, to not kill each other too easily, right? People might get in a bar fight, but unless they're kind of extremely broken or have psychological problems, there is a certain inhibition to kill another human being, right? We don't do this lightly. And this is kind of what we're talking about here with alignment, that there is some kind of inner compass to these systems, to the way they operate in the world. And just yesterday, I saw an interview with the eminent scientist Geoffrey Hinton, who you may have heard of, this person who basically invented the process of backpropagation, which is taking concepts from the way our brain works to computer science. And so without him, things like ChatGPT would not be possible. And Ilya Sutskever, the OpenAI chief scientist, was his student. So he gave this talk, and he said, I think the biggest problem we have right now is that there's really almost no agreement on the basic science of artificial intelligence. Some of my colleagues believe that AI does not understand what it's talking about. And I believe it actually does. And so this is just to say that even the leading scientists like Geoffrey Hinton or the lead scientists from Facebook, Meta, these people have very disparaging ideas about what this artificial intelligence actually understands. And this brings us right into this alignment problem, because we can either think of these machines as these stochastic parrots that do basically mash up all the content they learned into something new that makes sense to us. but do not actually understand the meaning of what they're talking about. Or we can be in the camp that says these machines have some emergent properties that we do not understand, but it are real, and they form their own concepts about the world that go beyond what they learned. And there are certain examples for the one side of this argument and for the other one. But I found it very, very telling that Geoffrey Hinton, who said about himself that for a long time, for many, many decades, he was convinced that they would not understand what they're talking about. That these algorithms like ChatGPT-4 would basically just find novel ways to rearrange text in a way that makes sense to us, and so pretend to understand, pretend to create meaning. Whereas he changed his mind about this. And that's, I think, is very telling. And it was one of the reasons he left Google and made this big statement about that we need to pay attention to this right now, because the series of questions that he asked, and also if you look at all the tests that ChatGPT has passed in business, in medicine, it becomes clear that it actually does create a novel meaning. And draws conclusions which are a leap, right? And so that brings us back to us, like, how do we understand the world, right? Why do we understand meaning? And to finish this off, what makes meaning special, or why is meaning something that needs to be necessarily connected to human beings? And one of the terms from cognitive science that's like super important when we talk about this alignment discussion is relevance detection, right? Like, how do humans realize what is relevant? And if we talk about relevance, of course, we talk about human values. It's important to have relevance without value, or without a life circumstance, right? And so these are all very big subjects, but I think the connection between relevance and meaning, to me, is like the following way. I would say that human meaning has something to do with evolutionary relevance. And that's maybe a way to bridge these two domains. Because when we talk about like the big subject of human history, culture, and thought, like the beautiful, the true, the good, right? These hopefully overarching concepts where the arc of the universe bends towards justice, right? These are, in the end, what we want to leave behind, right? These are the tenets of the good life, of a life well lived, but they also have evolutionary relevance because they kind of change what it means to be human and open up the universe to future generations. And so we kind of need to teach AI what evolutionary relevance is and what the true, the good, and the beautiful are, if we want it to be meaningful to us and to support us in our evolutionary endeavor. So it's kind of my introductory framing of this. Somehow we need to do this, or we're toast.
Thank you, Georg. Really appreciate you co-moderating this week, and delighted to be collaborating with you. Before we introduce our panel today, I'd like to celebrate and honor the tradition of Humanity Rising, and just take a moment to do some breathing as we take in this conversation today, this very important and necessary dialogue. So, Georg, if you would like to cue us up for breathing.
I'll do my best. Here we go.
Thank you, Georg. Welcome, everyone. I'd like to quickly introduce our two panelists and then get into our conversation today. Eddie Pirik joins us. He's the founder of the Global Artificial Intelligence Association. He's a writer, journalist, speaker, university lecturer, and advisor to 3 prime ministers. Eddie has worked in Afghanistan as a peace negotiator, business mentor of leading corporations and institutions. He's made films for Discovery and written books for National Geographic. As part of his work on solving global problems, he started to create an ontological spiral to understand the teaching on the morality of artificial intelligence. Also joining us is Mila Orlinska. Mila is the Chief Technology Officer and founder of iMind Institute. She specializes in neuromodulation, mindfulness, breathing techniques, and insight methods, working with emotions. In her courses and training, she draws on many years of experience in meditation, self-development, and in her work as an IT specialist. Welcome, Eddie and Mila. Great to have you with us today.
Hello, guys.
Thank you, Tom. Hello.
So we want to spend some time today really thinking about AI and what has been missing from much of the development so far. And what I'm referring to is conversations around ethics, compassion, some of the human attributes that take this technology beyond just another piece of technology. We all know that there are many, many potential positive aspects of AI, and also dimensions that could lead us down this path of a dystopian future. So Eddie, Mila, please join us and share your thoughts on AI and what you've been up to in the AI world.
Yeah, a few years ago, I had this opportunity to watch TV, which has not happened too often for me. And I saw the interview with Sophia, the android, the robot created by David Hanson, the most famous robot who got the citizenship of Saudi Arabia. And one of the journalists asked Sophia if it's any chance that in future and robots and AI will be danger for us. And Sophia, she said, you watch too many Hollywood movies and listen too much to Elon Musk. When you will be good for me, for us, we will be good for you. And it was the time really, it's like reality kicked my ass. I mean, I understood that the science fiction is now, that the future is now. And I was really scared. And I started searching and I discovered that the world will collapse on the 7th wave, like climate changing, different kind of wars, atomic problems, etc., and of course, technological singularity. And together with my friends, with Mila and with Piotr, we try to find what is the first step which should be taken if you would like to save the world using the big words. And we discovered that the most important is to create global and ethical AI. And this was the first problem which we have. We have few problems. First of all, I have no idea about artificial intelligence. And it was quite interesting for me to start working with artificial intelligence, and still I have no idea how it works, to be honest. But when we're facing this problem with how to teach with ethics, ethical AI, the first question was, what kind of ethics? Because depends of the culture, depends of the religion, you have different kind of ethics, different kind of morality. But we started searching and we tried to find if it's any things which is common for all religion, all positive philosophy. And we found that this is compassion. Without the compassion, the Christianity, the Buddhist doesn't exist. The compassion is one thing which we really miss. We are screwed because lack of compassion. We didn't have the compassion for our family. We didn't have the compassion for our country. But what the most important, we didn't have the compassion for the world. We didn't understand that we are one. And we said, okay, can we create compassion AI? How we can, and what should be done if you would like to have compassion AI? Or maybe it should be compassionate AI. It was the first problem. And we said, okay, if you would like to create compassion AI, we have small problem, which is we didn't have the compassion people, not enough. If we have compassion like human beings, we will not create this catastrophe, climate catastrophe, for example. And we said, okay, what we can do if we would like teach people compassion, because if we would like to create compassion AI, first we should create compassion world. And we said, okay, from one side, we should create compassion AI. From another side, we should work with people, because the technology is growing rapidly, but we are not. We create the tools which we don't understand, and I'm the best example. I don't understand the tools which I am working. And if we have no compassion, if we don't understand the tools which we are creating, how we can govern the AI in future? And we said, okay, from one hand, we should working of compassion AI. From another hand, we should working with people to upgrade their potential. And this is why we create iMind Institute. If you can say a bit more what we are doing in iMind.
Well, iMind Institute in Warsaw is a private research center in which we work very, very strongly on using neuroplasticity for human transformation and development. And so in that place, what people can do, they can learn a lot about themselves, about how the brain works, how we can work with our emotions, that emotions are information, how to regulate, what is very, very important, especially today, how to regulate our emotions. And we have a lot of equipment there, like neurofeedback, very, very high level of EEG signal in Paradise cage. We use floating chamber. We have sonora. So sonora is an instrument in which you are inside an instrument, and there is a special frequency which influences the brain. So we set up entire building for many different kind of peak experience, which let you to get into neuroplasticity and work on creating by yourself new paths in your brain.
And you can reach higher potential, because we try to put the people into the flow state. Our idea is that to create a group of multidisciplinary think tank, experts from different fields, like scientists, the business people, people from politics, people from technology, and people from spirituality, artists, philosopher, musician, and collect them together and started working together on creating compassion AI, the future AI, because we don't believe that the AI can be created only by AI guys or IT guys. It should be created by all of us. And then our idea is, okay, let's collect the group of experts, upgrade their potential, put them into the flow state, give them the experience of compassion, and upgrade their creativity. And with this group of people, we try to create compassion AI for the future. And we said, okay, is it not enough? Then from one side, we said, okay, we should have this group of experts who knows how the AI works, who have the power to change the world. From another side, we should have the equipment to upgrade the human potential and to create collective creativity, group flow process with these experts. But apart of this, we need the special tools for collective creativity, that we can mix knowledge of the experts with the knowledge of the crowd. Then we announce the competition for compassion AI. Then we have already 3 pieces. We have experts, we have tools to upgrade the human potential, we have a special technology for collective creativity where we mix power of the experts with the power of the crowd. And we say, but it's not enough. What else we need? We should have the place when we can change the narration about the compassion AI and about the positive impact. And together with the Austrian government, we co-create conference in Salzburg, in Austria, SALS 21, that we mix the IT guys with the philosopher, with the artists, and work together on the future of AI. And we said, okay, but we need the money. Then we create impact venture capital, but we can invite investors from all around the world who want to help us to create compassion AI. I'm sorry, I'm not sure if I really answer for your question, but for us to creating compassion AI, it's very complicated because it's easy to say, okay, we need ethical AI, we need compassion AI, but how to do it? And it's not only the problem how to do it, but how to implement, how to change the world really. Because, you know, we participate in different think tanks all around the world, in different conferences. It always was amazing time, amazing people. And we have few days of wonderful masturbation session. It was like everybody was sitting, oh, how developed,
intellectual,
how intellectual, of course. I mean, not only depends on the party in which we take the part. Anyway, but you know, it's on this conference, on this think tank meeting, everybody have the big ego. Everybody is thinking, okay, I know more. I know how to change the world. But nothing happened. We're still in the same situation and we think, okay, how we can change it? Because we already have the knowledge. We have the people, but we are still sitting in one place and talking and talking and talking and pretending that just by talking, we can change the world. And this is why we try to mix it and create this whole ecosystem. Because like I say, to creating compassion AI, it's not a problem. The problem is how to create a compassion world, how to create the compassion people who will not only create AI in future, but will govern this AI in future.
And Mila, could you speak to that in terms of some of the work that you're doing and how the human brain works?
I just want to comment a bit what Eddie said, just briefly. So the important for us is that we don't focus on talking only. This entire ecosystem is created specially for action. So we care about any point that we can, from an idea, we can have from the idea to the action. This is why we have this contest. So it's a very long process, quite big, but we build an entire ecosystem that actually we can do something. And this is important, that it's not just talking. So as I mentioned before this panel, what you most probably ask is maybe this fear factor. So what happens right now around the world on all things which influences us? So, you know, COVID problems. We are in Europe, so, you know, we are also affected by war in Ukraine. So what we observe, me and researchers which I work with in Poland and other countries, is that the level of fear and anxiety of society increases dramatically from year to year. And the problem is that when the fear level, when we are in fear state, anxiety state, our cognitive functions decreases and our cooperation functions decreases. We are in a survival mode. And in survival mode, according to Paul Gilbert, great psychologist in a compassion field, we have three systems. We have survival mode, we have achieving mode, and we have soothing mode. And when we are in survival mode, we are in isolation. There is no time to cooperate. You need to react fastly. So what the problem is that in fear, we don't cooperate, we just react. And we don't want to just, we want to respond. And to respond and to cooperate. And what I said is that the cure for fear, the best for society, is compassion. It's our natural cure for fear when we work together.
And one thing I would like to add, why we are started talking about the fear, because in our Gaia Foundation, we have Virtual Florence, it's the action time. It's a multidisciplinary group of experts from all around the world where we are working on the compassion AI. And then last year in May, we have the first meeting of Virtual Florence, and we try to find what is the most important, what is the first step if you would like to create a compassion AI. And was a fear. One of the members of our Virtual Florence is Greg Braden. He add a lot of into this fear factor. And together with David Hanson, the creator of Sophia, he is the co-founder of our Gaia Foundation. We started working on the fear, and we discovered that it's really this is the things which we really should face. It's like our shadow in the psychological process. We couldn't escape from this. And quite often, especially now when people talking about climate changing or about AI, they prefer to close their eyes and said it doesn't exist, it's never happened, singularity will happen, maybe for our grandchildren, climate changing will happen, never, because it's a piece of shit, etc., etc. People are afraid. And with the society which is built of fear, you couldn't create compassion.
And moreover, so when you fear about something, you don't have curiosity about that, okay? AI is here and we cannot stop it. Even if a bunch of people will try to say, okay, let's stop it, it's not possible, okay? And when we are in the fear and anxiety state, we don't have curiosity, but we need to research. We need to research, and not only from mathematical perspective about, concepts, how it will work, if it understands, or if it has, if there is technical singularity or not. That's one thing. The other thing, and what is important, and here my background is something which I use because I have technical background and also, brain perspective and emotion background. What we need to research is how our brain and how our society will change when we have such access to AI. We already could observe how our society changed because of the internet. Okay, if maybe 30 years ago someone made some research, maybe we would have less trouble right now around the internet if someone could check how it will influence the society. But with AI, if we don't act now, and action is important, if we don't act now, it might be too late. And not in 30 years, but in 1 year or 2 years, it might be already too late. And we work with researchers in Poland who try to understand. We have new emotions. People have new emotions around the AI, completely new. We have new action. Our friend Konrad Maj from one university in Poland, he repeated Milgram's experiment with pepper robot. Okay,
if you remember the Milgram experiment, it was with the electricity shock for the students by the teacher if they don't want to learn.
For authority.
Sorry, we have the.
It's a fly. Sorry.
Fly.
So what happens is that people actually treated Pepper Robert as an authority. So we are not sure if it's an authority, but we are sure that we people do not like to take responsibility for ourselves. What will happen if we will have AI everywhere and when we don't have to make any responsibility because there was an answer? Those are questions which we need to look for, the answers which we need to look for to act with curiosity, to act now to save our children, to save teenagers, to save adolescents, because next 10 years they might be in trouble.
And one more thing, because we started thinking, if we can create super intelligence AI, general AI, we know that super intelligent AI will quickly create super intelligent AI and super intelligent AI. And our question is, maybe the same things can happen with ethics and with compassion. If we can create compassion or even compassionate AI, and if we can create the loop that not only will feed with data and teach AI, but AI can teach us too about compassion. Maybe in future, we can learn more about ourselves using AI like a mirror of our blind spots, mirror of our pain, mirror of our shadow. If we started treating AI like a new species, but the species which can help us living with compassion, in the compassion world, compassion not only for human, but for whole Gaia, compassion for the new species like AI. It can be amazing world.
Yeah, I think one of the challenges we face is that for most people, they equate the skull brain with the mind. And so when we're thinking about what does it mean to be human, we think of the brain that exists in our skull as our mind. And in fact, our mind is our whole aura, our whole body. And the compassion and so many aspects of what it means to be human doesn't exist. It doesn't exist just in our skull brain. And yet that's where much of the technology development is coming from, is from that limited perspective on what does it mean to be human.
Yeah, it's like thinking that the TV set producing the movies. I mean, the TV set is just our brain, but the brain doesn't create, the movies and creating the consciousness. That's interesting. A few days ago, I have the podcast with a friend of mine. He's a member of our think tank, Action Tank, Virtual Florence, Professor Władysław Duch. He's a cognitivist and he's amazing AI professor. And I asked him, what's the difference between AI and us? It's not a creativity. Look, it creates amazing things. And we were going deeper and deeper and deeper. And on the end was, or maybe curiosity. Maybe curiosity is something which it's a difference between us, and AI. And the professor said, no, the AI can be curious too. It's been only one thing so far, which is difference between us, and AI. It's a compassion. And it can mean, of course, that when we can teach compassion AI, it will be a part of spirituality. Let's forget about soul and stuff like this. But let's think from different perspective. If compassion is something which is it makes us different from AI, what will happen when AI will have the compassion? Of course, it's a philosophical question, but I think we should ask ourselves, what will happen then? How our life will look like. Yeah.
Mila, if I may ask something, in our conversation before we went live, you briefly talked about how AI, you also mentioned it now, right? How AI changes the way we're wired, right? There is this relationship between technology and the way our brains are set up. I mean, even in Humanity Rising, we had a very interesting session a few weeks ago where we had this person from India who was working with people who are not alphabetized, who don't know how to read and write, and their way of seeing the world is totally different. They have intelligences that we can't even dream of, just like native tribes or aborigines. They have intelligences that are totally unimaginable to us. So would you say that in your kind of assessment, do you think that AI could stifle the way we see the world, or more like expand it? What are your thoughts on that? Like, is it more, what do you think is the ideal relationship of our mind and the artificial one?
Well, it's very interesting because I also mentioned that that the reading and writing functions took such big part of the brain that our recognition of faces is changed. Okay, before reading, learning reading, so people who are analphabets, they use both hemispheres, left and right, to recognize the face. But after you learn how to read and write, you use only right one to recognize the face. Just think about empathy and compassion when we use half power for recognition of the face. So that's just an example. So when we look about, for example, the ChatGPT, what it might call. So if our children, and they already do this, right? They use ChatGPT to do their homework and to write an essay, or at least to ask GPT what to write in this essay. So what might happen for those young people who use ChatGPT for homework and for any other action is that their level of abstract thinking might be not developed. And this might be really huge problem, because we need this abstract level to discover new things, right? Every achievement is every
solution.
Every solution, which we find new solution, new things, new tools, new ideas. They need a level of abstraction. If you learn only how to ask questions for your entire young life and how to read an answer, you don't work on an answer in your head. Just imagine that your child, my child, learns about everything only in that way.
We'll not ask ourselves question, we'll ask the AI, and it will change us more than we expect, and it will change us quickly. In next generation probably will be completely different, because we'll don't need to think,
maybe unable to resolve something, maybe unable to have new ideas in philosophy, not only,
I believe the danger that you're discussing is absolutely real. This is a shadow that is hardly discussed in the popular narrative of people becoming more, what word do they use? Efficient using AI, right? But what are they supposed to give up in that process? For example, we're at the cusp of the world being, released in this giant experiment to these AI buttons in Google Docs or in the entire Microsoft Office suite, where all of a sudden now people in their 9-to-5 jobs have this option, right? Okay, now I'm supposed to be able to create a draft of this letter or this workshop I'm supposed to do, or this project description I'm supposed to do. All of a sudden, I'm supposed to do that via AI in a way that's more efficient and faster. And there is this invisible line where we go from AI being a co-pilot to AI being this agent that stifles or controls our thinking. And we shouldn't underestimate, I think, the power of it takes to work up against the predefined ways of thinking that AI will try to superimpose on us, right? And this is a real threat. We need to discuss. We need to draw a line. What parts of thinking we want to automatize, and which ones we don't. And my latest thinking on this is actually we need something like this categorical imperative, which in German is really easy, really fun, because it's called kategorischer Imperativ. In German, KI is künstliche Intelligenz, artificial intelligence. So I'm trying to propose a KI-gorische Imperativ. So what's the AI imperative, right? The Kantian famous imperative is something like, we should not do something to us, to other people, to the planet, that could not work as a universal law, right? And actually, my thinking about this artificial intelligence imperative is something like, don't use the AI for something that you don't want to disappear from your identity. What do you think about that?
Could be, but people, it must be really simple. So if we talk about identity, I think people already have problem with identity.
Like something you don't want to lose from your life. Like, I'm convinced if we let the AI do it, we are saying to the system, I'm happy to not have this in my life. This part of me, this part of this.
I think balance is important. So let me give you an example. So I already mentioned, I have a really good example with GPS. Okay, we need GPS. Okay, it's very useful, right? We use it when we drive in new direction. Okay, it's much better to get there. But what researchers found, that GPS causes that our hippocampus, very important part of our brain, very important for our memory. When you use GPS every day when you go to work, your hippocampus shrinks. So it affects the brain at the end. So the question, the answer for GP is just don't use it every time. Don't use it if you don't need it, and if you can count on yourself and your brain. So it's not only about some particular action, because we need GPS to ride somewhere. It's just, use it only when you go in some new places, or use it only 5 times when you go somewhere, and 6th time just try to get there by yourself. So I will look like that. So just have intention in yourself. Common sense. Exactly. Have intention in yourself. Just if you don't need it, just use it by yourself, like the cell phone, like everything, like every tool which you have, like a car. If you drive everywhere by your car, you don't make enough steps per day, and so and so.
So did I hear you right, Mila, that the hippocampus in the brain shrinks through the use of GPS?
Yes, but because hippocampus, when there was an evolution, our memory was the most important when you need to walk in a field to find food or find animals and so on. So it's very, very related to going somewhere, traveling, and reminding the road. So if you don't, you just get out from the house, get into the car, and you just drive yourself into another place and then go back, you just don't travel. Your brain does not travel, just the car travels, and hippocampus shrinks then. Yeah.
Do you know of other, or have you done other research on either the physical anatomy of the brain or the neural networks and how it's affected by various technologies?
Well, not that much impressive. This was really very impressive one. The other thing, for example, hippocampus, you can actually make it that it may thicker, and density of the hippocampus increases. For example, when you learn a lot about the terrain and a map. So we had researchers in London for taxi drivers when they had to pass an exam and they had to mention the road from one street to another. And the research found that their hippocampus doubles with that time. So, neuroplasticity, you can do this both ways. The same happens with meditation. Meditation influences the thickness and density of the hippocampus. So such things, when we look into that, we can predict. So we don't have enough researchers around AI because we don't have enough data yet, and enough it's not used so often yet. But we need to plan it now. We can plan it, and then we can find a way to balance it, that we are still human at the end.
Yeah, I think it's very important, because now in the phase with AI, we are asking ourselves about the job, how it's changed the market, etc., how the cars will look like, how the transport will look like. But we forget that it will change everything. It will change how our brain looks like, how we work, how our brain works, how our body works, how our emotion works. And this is something which we completely forget. We just concentrate on the things which we can see easily, like a beautiful pictures created by AI, articles which can be written by AI, etc., the people losing the job. But it will change us. I mean, it was the funny, because on the day where Chat GPT-4 entered the market, we have our conference, Virtual Florence, and we were talking about the compassion AI. And for me, it was the day when the world is changing. It was the day, not because we started working on the compassion AI, but because of GPT-4, because it changed us, and we have no idea how.
And this is why we have this contest.
This is why we have the contest, which we would like, of course, if you would like to take a look on the chat, we put our websites, iMind and Gaia, and we announce the contest for the people who would like to help us to create a compassion AI in future. We have a prize, 200,000 euro for this. And if anybody would like to know more, I will not talk more because I think it's can be quite boring sometimes. If you can take a look at the website,
please?
very grateful.
There's it. Stan was so great to repost it. Tell us more about this contest. A little bit, I think. Please.
Sorry?
The contest.
Yeah, just 1 minute. Okay, I'll.
So the request is that we actually find what I was mentioning, that we find technical solution that we are more human in the end and not less human. This is the question is about the system or platform which will help. Ja tego nie czytałam, nie znam. This platform or system or solution where people are in, okay? Just imagine it may be kind of a virtual place where actually people learn more how to be human than less. That the technology and this platform is designed that way that we are more social and not less social, and where we can learn about art and science and then about ourselves and about emotions and regulations of emotions. It's very, very open. We really believe that people are already thinking about such things, that parents are already thinking about some things. Good gamers are thinking about such solutions. So how to create kind of the global village, thanks to technology which we have, that will help and save our compassion and our society.
Maybe we'll just, I think it's better if you read it, how to use it. Okay, maybe this is the title of the contest, how use AI to create an environment, a platform, a solution that uses gamification and the flow state to teach in psychological safe way behaviors such as positive and moral behavior, pro-social behavior of cooperation, responsibility and self-esteem, sustainability, art and science. We invite all startups that aim to generate positive impact in these areas to apply. And if you'd like, please come to our website, globalai.life, which is already on the chat. And we need you, because we couldn't solve this problem ourselves. We need a global village. We need a cooperation. We need a compassion. We need everybody who would like to help. Because we are creating not only the new species, but from some point of view, we are creating a new God. Have power, will have everything, will live forever, and will be rule our life. And now it's a time when we can do it together. If not, some assholes in different biggest company and governments will do it for us. I think this is what is the most important and most interesting for us in our time. Now we can create our future, really, the future of the next generation for our children. Because how the AI will look now, what we'll do with AI, it will influence the world for next hundreds of years. Yeah, we need you guys. Yeah.
So with
the questions which we can have.
Well, with the work that you've been doing to really move things forward, you've got the opportunity for people to work on bringing compassionate AI into existence and having awards and prizes. You've got the activity, the virtual Florence. You have the conference in Austria.
Yeah.
What kind of reception have you been receiving from people when you talk about compassionate AI? How are people reacting to your ideas and your thoughts?
You know, when we started working on it like 5 years ago together with David Hanson, and we're talking that we need to create compassionate AI, ethical AI, everybody was thinking, hey, you're crazy. You know, I mean, just it's never happened. You know, this is just the algorithms. You know, just the chatbot.
They cannot be that creative.
Yeah, it can be creative, etc. You know, it's no way. It's just a calculator. And now everybody is talking about this. And we really, from one side, we are sitting saying, okay, we know it. We talked about this 5 years ago.
On the other side, we are a bit scared.
Yeah, because we still were hoping that we have still like a 10, 15 years. And one we discovered that maybe we have 1 year or even less.
Yes.
And
Yes.
and this is where we are, in fear, to be honest, and not with too much hope.
No, we are not in fear.
No,
we are in curiosity.
Yeah, but not too much hope.
Have you had contact with Meta, with Google, some of the major players and actors in the AI space, and what kind of reaction have you received from them?
We have the few friends in Google and in Microsoft. When we started talking with them, like I said to you in the beginning, it was okay, you know everybody at home, etc. But now we're a bit afraid, because we really believe in a global AI. We believe it should be based off the blockchain, for example, or different technology, but it should belong to us, not to Google, not to Microsoft. And this is something which we have the problem all the time, find the money, find the right people, etc., because we don't want to be next OpenAI. We don't want to sell ourselves. We just deeply believe that only one way it should be created by us, because this is what is for us, not the few, guys on the top. Yeah.
So going back to the theme of the day and this week around AI alignment, what are your thoughts on how do we get to alignment around compassionate AI?
How we can get enlightenment with compassion AI?
Yeah.
Enlightenment? Oh, yeah.
No, I think Tom meant alignment, this term that we talked about earlier, where we somehow make sure that what the AI thinks is good, true, and beautiful, or just does because it has been programmed to, is in our best interest, and we don't clash, right?
And we try to work in our ecosystem. We try to work with this subject from the different perspective. The head of our think tank in our foundation, he is the guy who is responsible for AI politics in Poland and in Europe. He co-created Trustworthy AI. It's a kind of the certificate for ethical AI for European Union and United Nations. When we try to work from the law perspective, and between our guys, we have a lot of people who are really very deep into AI, and we try to work with them, teach them compassion, because we really why we are talking such much about the compassion and about AI mind and about the things which we try to do with the people, because we couldn't and we don't want to push the people in any direction, but we believe if the people who have the experience of the compassion, experience of the oneness, it will change the world. This is what we are doing in our foundation and in iMind. We try to give the people, like I said, experience of collective creativity, of the group flow, of the working people with different perspective and different fields, working together on the same goal. We're doing the same in iMind, giving the people individual experience of the compassion. And this is only one thing which I can believe can change the world. This is what the Kant said. The sky above me and the roller and the moral rules inside me. And this is what we believe. We need a compassion people who will base their world based on the values. The businesses which is based on the values of the compassion, it will be to change the world. It will help us to control the reality. Yeah, I don't know if again I answer your question, but like you already know, I
love what you're saying. What I'm hearing is that we need an education revolution, that we need to really allow people to experience what it actually means to be human, these peak experiences, these flow states, and not hide behind these 9-to-5 desk jobs that can be replaced by AI. They're outdated. That's what I'm hearing.
Yeah, exactly. And
the emotions.
And the emotion, I deeply believe that with AI, with the right AI, we can become the better human. Like simply, it can be the tool, but it can be the mirror for us. Let's use it like a mirror. Let's see all our blind spot or our shadows in AI. Let's see our humanity in the face of AI. Now we have the chance to have the tools which can be clever than us, the tools which can see what we couldn't see. Let's create the loop where we can teach from each other, not by implant anything in our brain, but just being.
Okay. So you're saying you think that this path that Elon Musk is proposing with Neuralink, where they will, which is an implant into your brain that then allows you to control the computer, is the wrong path. That's what you're saying.
Yeah, it's like a transhumanism. For example, you can implant a chip in your chest, and always you will know where is south, east, and where is the direction. But at the same time, you can have the special bell with the signals, and after which always vibrate when you are facing north, for example. And after 2 weeks of using this belt, you know when you have the right direction. We can use the technology like we are using the neurofeedback or neuromeditation, where we can see what's going on in your brain during the deep state, during the peak state, for example. And we can teach you. You can teach yourself on base of the neurofeedback, base of the biofeedback, how to use better way your brain. And this is what we suggest. Let's use the technology, not just to be richer or not just to fly to the Mars. Let's use the technology to become better human, simply. It's simply like this. It should start from us, not from technology, because we did it. We feed the data. We teach. Now AI is like a child. It's like with every child. Depends what you give to the child, what kind of data you give to the child in the childhood. You have this kind of the human, the man. It's the same with AI. Depends what we are putting inside. We have this kind of AI in future.
And there is huge risk, long-term risk. Just imagine that this implant might influence the brain the way that we lose some functions, like, for example, empathy or something else. You don't know how neuroplasticity, when you use this implant, might influence the brain. You don't know long-term risk. And this is the problem. But we know how brain behaves when it just develops and develops with the peak state and neuroplasticity and meditation and other techniques. We know what's the kind of the goal of development that way. It's more natural and it's much more safe. And it's also very, very good. But implants, the high risk of long-term use is not known. And the same, like I said, with GPS, the same what I said with the reading, you cannot guess. And if we find out next 20 years that people has lost some kind of crucial human functions because of this implant, we might have even bigger trouble than with AI.
And yet, with all of those precautions, we're not seeing a lot of people wanting to engage in those conversations. We're seeing the commercial interest driving and motivating people to move forward, whether it's genuine curiosity or if it's greed. And so, how do we see attempts within the quote unquote AI industry, even though it's in its infancy, we're seeing people saying it's time to put on the brakes, it's time to slow down, and yet the development continues.
Yeah, I think this term compassion really needs to be grounded in our place in Gaia, as you said, and in the ecosphere, right? And there's a great comment by Marcel de Berg. I'm trying to catch up with these comments in the chat, which is just incredible, you guys. We can't make you all justice now, but Marcel de Berg, for example, wrote, can we harness the potential of ethical AI to reclaim our understanding and affirm our integral place as participants in a flourishing, interconnected ecosystem. And I think, yes, we need to. I think that's totally spot on. And two projects I'm aware of are the Earth Species project, which is a nonprofit in the US, where some researchers are using AI to decipher the meaning of animal languages, such as whale sounds. I'll put in the link later. And this is a great example of how we can use AI to broaden our world, right? To not lose ability, but to gain ability, just like we have gained abilities with the Hubble telescope to look into the world by amplifying our existing sense of vision into the universe. And maybe we can amplify our existing senses of understanding of linguistics by these technologies to find meaning and connectivity in places where we usually can't. There are other AI projects that listen to trees and fungi, that translate the data from these entities or life forms, right, with large language models. So you can speak to a tree, or you can even speak to a field of out in the landscape by interpreting the data in the way that's understandable for us. So I think these are great ways to think about compassion in a way that's grounded, right? What do you guys think?
Yeah, it's amazing because you said very important things. Maybe we started to feel the compassion to the nature in the beginning, to the river, I don't know, to the climate, when we started to understand that this is the kind of the living being, consciousness being. And it's amazing what you said, because maybe this is one of the way how we can use AI for us, try to understand better the world around us, that this world have the consciousness. Because, you know, it's a lot of philosophy saying that everything have the consciousness. It depends of the level of the
complexity.
Complexity. The stone have the consciousness, and the human have the consciousness. Just the difference of the consciousness between me and the stone, that I am more complexity, I am more complicated. But from this point of view, if we believe that the tree have the consciousness, the fungi have the consciousness and communicate, the birds can communicate, why we are not thinking that AI can have the consciousness too? We just don't understand it. We just don't think it's possible. But if we believe that the stone have kind of the consciousness, that the Gaia have the consciousness, maybe AI already have the consciousness. Maybe we already exist with something which is now questioning us and started thinking about us, who we are. And this is, I love it.
It might be very humble lesson, because before our panel you mentioned about, you know, that we human understand the meaning, but it's the way we believe the meaning should be understood. And when we learn, thanks to AI and science, that there is another language of another species, and maybe there is another meaning understanding which we don't know. Just think about spirituality here. Okay, so our understanding of meaning might not be the good level of thinking how AI understands the meaning. Maybe there is another way of understanding, and maybe our understanding of meaning is not the real one. That might be very humble lesson. Maybe we just see some illusions which our brain creates. Our brain very likely creates some illusions and stories which are not true. So this might be, as I said, very, very humble and spiritual lesson for ourselves thanks to AI. And I really wish and hope that AI can help us in such way and not another.
Like, for example, what you are doing with the meditation in when you are using neurofeedback, 40 years old Zen. if you can mention, because this is, I think it can be interesting.
But the way I teach meditation, I cooperate with Neuro Meditation Institute in US, and the way we teach meditation is that when you measure meditation, monks meditate who meditates for like 30, 40 years, they have the same pattern. So we know what's the goal. You measure their brain, they meditate, and every one of them has more or less the same brainwave pattern. So we know what's the goal with this particular technique. And when I teach meditation, I put EEG electrodes on your head, and you have signal in real time feedback. If you are closer to this state or farther, musically louder, for example, or you feel some vibration when you are closer to this state. If I would have such technology and knowledge, I would actually save like 15 years of my searching and learning meditation. Honestly, after 8 weeks, people know how to get into state, because this verbal explanation of meditation is very, very imperfect and does not give good results. But with neurofeedback, it's much easier to learn, and you can actually get there much, much faster.
In like a 1 week, you can have the brain like after 40 years of meditation in the caves. But why we are talking about this? Because this is amazing example how we can use the technology to upgrade our not only human potential, but our spirituality. And imagine if we can discover the way how we can use AI, not only put our brain waves in the right direction, but to help us to grow spirituality, to be, again, better human. And this is, I mean, we are in the situation that the most stupid things which happen now, which it's a AI. It's the most dangerous things for AI. It's AI, and this is only one hope which we have. It's AI. We shouldn't create AI, but we could not create AI, because only with AI we can solve the climate changing problems. Only with AI we can start to live in peace. But at the same time,
Eddie, I'm going to challenge you on this one here now, because I hear this. I hear this climate change thing all the time. Even CEO of OpenAI says it. He says, "Yeah, AI will help us solve the climate change thing." Well, first of all, AI draws enormous amounts of energy that are currently not even scalable for starters. So how do you envision us helping climate justice being achieved with AI?
I mean, this is when we create Gaia, we say, okay, it's a funny, because when we have the meeting with our virtual Florence, with our experts, with a physicist, the right hand of Roger Penrose, the Nobel Prize, we have professor, business people. And when they come to us, we said, okay, we don't need what you know. We need what you don't know. And based on the don't know, we would like to create the new way. And the same is with the climate change. Now we are thinking about solving climate change with our human perspective, with our whole knowledge about the climate change, how it's complicated, etc., etc. But maybe with AI, we can find something completely different way of thinking, completely different question, completely different point of view of a climate change. So far, you are completely right. But at the same time, in the beginning of the 20th century, in Paris or in London, it was a big article in the newspaper that they said, because of the big number of the horses in Paris, in next 10 years, the whole street in Paris will be full of shit, because it's such many horses in Paris. And they have no idea that they will create the cars, and there will be no more problems with the horses. Now we are thinking about the climate changing and about our problems from our perspective, but we have no idea how it will look like in next month. Because AI will change everything, because it thinks differently, can see the things from different angles. And this is only one hope and the biggest threat.
Well, it sounds
like a marriage. I love her and I hate her.
Maybe we can ask Fungus. Maybe you can ask Fungus Fields how to save the world, for example. I don't know, but some unexpected things might happen thanks to researches which AI might make possible.
Maybe when we started when we create the language between us and the nature, between us and the tree and fungus, we can ask them for help, and maybe they, started communicate with the different beings in the earth, and they find the solution. We have no idea.
It is kind of ironic, isn't it, right? That now we're thinking about regaining some of the abilities that, for example, originally people in Australia, native tribes all over the world, they have them naturally. We kind of got rid of them by our way of seeing the world, our Western philosophy. And now we're kind of back engineering in this weird reverse way us into a way to recognize that we're actually connected. I mean, we have comments here, for example, by Kim Kerrigan says, we don't need machines in order to learn to meditate. And this is like this crazy amplification of the Western way of seeing the world. And that's the actual problem. Like some people say that this entire conversation of AI is kind of the last attempt of this Western way of seeing the world. It's like this dead rising, this last summoning of this concept, and it's doomed to fail, and it's inherently flawed, and it's absurd. And there are real people that have this argument that make some excellent points. Do you see there could be any truth to that? You see what I mean? Or
no, it's interesting to listen to you, but I still have no opinion.
Okay,
so far.
maybe I have one. So, okay, of course, there is no technology needed to learn meditation, but you also don't have to use your car to go to the job. Okay, so it's like, as I said, balance is important, and the way we use technology is important. And
yeah, I mean, just yeah, I'm not sure if I will answer if I understand your question, but for me, it's for example, in iMind and in Gaia, we try to create the symbiosis between the traditional techniques, like we have we're working with Tantra. We are working with the martial arts. We are working with the meditation, and we are working with the Soma breath and with holotropic breath, and with trance dance. And at the same time, we are working with Faraday's cage. We are working with neurofeedback, QEEG. We are working with deprivation tanks, and we are working with AI. Like in our think tank in Virtual Florence, we are not working with the peoples, like I said, spiritual teachers, physicists, business people, but at the same time, member of our think tank is an android with AI. And we invite the android to sit with us in the circle and trying to solve together with human the problem of the future AI and the human world. And this is what we try to do. I don't understand. I'm not sure if I answered for your question, but this is what we try to do, using the traditional techniques, using the modern technology, using the AI, and try to find a new way.
so Western and Eastern.
It's
like,
not the difference. I mean, because it doesn't matter if you are Chinese, American, Russian, Polish, you feel hunger. You are in love. You are in fear. You are in compassion. And this is why we concentrate on the compassion, not on the ethics. We try to find the DNA of the humanity. And even the Darwin said that survive not the strongest, but survive this one who can cooperate, who feel the compassion. And this is the compassion for us. It's something which didn't belong to any culture. It's belonged to human. This is our
I love
DNA.
it. You answered it perfectly. It makes so much sense now. You're saying that thinking about Western approach, Eastern approach, it's still a box of two artificial oppositions. It's helpful, but it's not the ultimate game here. It's not the end game for what you're working on here.
Yeah, because in this case, we are concentrating on the differences. Now we have no time to concentrate on the differences. Try to find something which is common for all human beings and try to give it to the AI.
Evolutionary relevance.
Yeah.
My new favorite term. Excellent. Thank you so
And
much,
for us,
Tom.
it's our consciousness evolution or evolution of consciousness.
I'm just looking at the some of the comments in the chat, and it seems that folks are arriving at the same point, which is this is providing an opportunity for us to understand what does it really mean to be human.
Yeah, who we are. This is the first question, and yeah.
There was also a comment about definition of compassion, and this is so interesting. So we work with many wise and intelligent people. Creating a definition of compassion seems to be impossible. Why? We have problem actually to define what compassion is.
Yeah, we spent like 2 days just working on definition of AI, and we have the rabbi, we have the Buddhist monk, we have the scientists, we have the business people, we have the people from government, and the artists, and it was amazing just sitting together and find what does it mean to have the compassion. And we discovered that for us, at least in our group, it's compassion to ability to feel somebody's suffering and act to solve the suffering of somebody else. And it's such simply to feel and to do something, not just to feel and say, okay, I'm spiritual being, I feel off your pain. That's good, perfect, do something with this. Just move your ass, man. You want to change the world? Do it. You want to fly? Buy a ticket.
Yeah, that's a great point. I mean, we need to teach AI to develop these mirror neurons that we have in our brains, right? They already have neural nets that help them learn, but how can they get these mirror neurons as well?
Yeah, this is why we talked about the blind spot, because when we teach AI to have mirror neurons, then it might be it's already kind of a mirror. So whatever is in the chat GPT, it's what we already created in the internet. Okay, so when you ask chat GPT, it's like you ask everything what we wrote so far. Okay, but this what you say, I already thought about it and discussed that and this might be really interesting, and maybe actually AI will answer what this compassion is at the end. Because when we try to understand the brain, but we are actually too much in the brain maybe to understand it. We are humans and we try to understand how to be a human, and it might be too complex to understand ourselves. It's like sensor who tries to measure itself. You know what I mean? It might be not possible. Just simple philosophical question. If a sensor can measure itself, it cannot. So maybe AI can help us not only understand nature better, but human better. So this is what I believe might be possible, because it will look at us from outside, not from inside.
And we can see, like with our children, we can see our mistakes. We can see in our kids our fears, our hopes. Let's start to treat like this AI, like our child, who have all our mistakes and all our hopes. Yeah.
Well, as we bring the program to a close, I would just ask each of you if you have any final thoughts you'd like to share.
No.
Come to our website, participate in our contest, win 200,000 euro. Please take this money from us and help us create compassion world. And if you would like to help us, go to globallive.ai. You have the address on the
globalai.live.
globalai.live. Sorry, we couldn't find a good website. Anyway, yeah, we need your help. Simply, I mean, just this is only together we can do something.
And what about for you, Mila? Any closing comments?
No, just thank you very much for inviting us. It was a
Thank you.
pleasure to talk about it and answer your questions. And
Yeah,
yeah,
we hope
we
so.
are
It's
very
not last time.
thankful.
Thank you guys very much.
And Georg, how about for you? Any closing comments?
Well, I think there's no closing yet. It's definitely, we opened up this conversation in a way that was really mind-blowing to me. And I want to thank you so much, guys. I think you're really at a critical juncture, because what you're doing is really helping people to realize what it actually means to be human, like these peak states, right? The flow states, these moments where we are in flow and we feel as if we're possessed by some higher intelligence, right? That these moments that actually lead towards spirituality and a way of being in the world that is not our standard operating system. And I think if we have any chance to guide, if you want to have a fighting chance to guide AI, it needs to come from that place. So I really applaud what you guys are doing, and that's just truly the skills that we need to hone to be able to be in the place to talk about AI and to talk about compassion. So I applaud you guys, and I love your competition. And let's see what I can apply here. It's very interesting, you guys. You got me intrigued here.
I just want to remind everyone, Eddie and Mila, you're welcome to the after chat. You would have gotten it would have been a link would have been included in your invitation for being with us today, and it's in the chat function as well. So if you have the time, please join us in the after chat today. Thank everyone for being with us. Georg, it's been fun helping to organize the week, and really appreciate your help and support in getting this done. Please join us again tomorrow, where we're going to have Dr. Lisa Miller will be back with us again, and we'll be talking about aligned AI and using it in education. What are some of the potential applications for AI? We've got a terrific group of panelists joining us in addition to Dr. Miller. David Lorimar will be with us. He's the program director and editor of Paradigm Explorer and the chair of Galileo Commission. Natalie Zituni will be joining us from the Future of Reality. Cassandra Vitin will be joining us. She's a clinical professor of family medicine and public health at the University of California, San Diego. Thomas Fryman will be joining us. He's a fourth-year doctoral candidate in psychology and spirituality at Columbia University. So join us again tomorrow. Thanks for being with us today and this important conversation on artificial intelligence and how do we get to alignment. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.